the top of your sacrum on the ground. Lifting your tailbone to put the top of your sacrum on the ground. And again, your breathing can still be easy. But feel your legs, how are your legs engaged to do this? When you're lifting your pelvis, how does the movement go up through your sternum and your chest and your first rib, into your neck and your head? And then could you go between, actually no, before we do that, and then roll again. Feel what's the difference if you roll across the back of your sacrum. This would be more a spinal chain, what we would call a spinal chain, where you're going across the ground, feeling each part touching the ground. And then could you go between those 2 points, between your tailbone and the top of your sacrum, and really feel the difference if you roll or if you lift. Feel how your legs are engaged differently. And especially feel what gets asked in your upper torso, in your neck, in your shoulder blades. Great. Okay. Next one is to lift the right side of your pelvis to put the back of your left hip on the ground. So what would you do to lift the right side of your pelvis to put the back of your left hip on the ground? So again, this is very much in the pelvic clock ATM that he really talks about finding these really specific parts on the clock, so that really only one part of your pelvis is touching down as you go around the clock. And then feel the difference if you roll to get there. If you more roll across, do your legs get engaged differently? Does your upper torso get engaged differently? And then go toward your right hip, so then you're lifting the left side. You're lifting the left side of your pelvis to place the right back of the right hip onto the ground. And feel what, again, how that threads up through your chest, your sternum, your shoulders. When you lift rather than roll. Is it a different, does it bring about a different state in you as well? When you're rolling across the ground rather than you're starting to lift yourself from the ground. Okay, so then could you join those 4 points together into a pelvic circle? And again, feel the difference if you just sort of roll your way around it, where lots of your pelvis stays on the ground as you roll around, or if you lift, you tilt the pelvis, so there's only one point of your pelvis ever touching the ground. But your pelvis stays down, Karen. There's always, yeah. No. So come this way, Karen. But see how you've lifted your whole pelvis? Can you do, you can just, that's it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah? And then there. Yeah, so you don't have, but you'll find with this lift, Karen has already discovered, your pelvis can get very light once you start to put lift into it. And again, really feel how your legs, what do your legs do when you're doing this tilt with the pelvis? How do they involve? How are your feet involved? Compared to if you do a roll around your pelvis. Okay, so if you were going to roll your pelvis, how could you roll your pelvis to come up to side sit? Doesn't matter which side you come, but you're thinking, oh, I'm just rolling my pelvis to come up to side sit. So it's this continual, and just feel the trajectory you make as you roll. When does your head lift when you do a roll with your pelvis? And then go back and do a lift with your pelvis to start to go to the side, to come up. Can you feel a difference if you really lift? So obviously if you're going to one side, you'll be lifting to one side of your pelvis. Is there a difference in how quickly your head lifts?
Like getting stuck.
It's just because your chest stops moving, that's all, Martina. So just go slower.
I get more momentum. Yeah.
Which one feels lighter and which one would be quicker? Which one would be quicker? Lifting. Yeah? And can you feel the difference in what your head does? When would your head come up if you're rolling across the ground? How long would your head stay down and make a bigger arc and then sort of get pulled up to sitting? Compared to if you're lifting. Yeah. So just as Bruce said, they're very different organisations. And we want both. Huh? We want both because some people are always into lifting themselves with way too much effort and they have to learn how to give up a lot of the lift and find how they can go down to the ground. Other people need the opposite. Lots of us need them both refined. Okay, come up to sitting for a moment. Whatever you like to do, whichever suits you. Huh? And I'm just interested, so what were your experiences from doing that? Anyone want to? Yeah, Fiona.
I really find that trying to do the lifting, like effort quickly, and I try to slow it down. Slow